Oh yeah, another impromptu drama stream, because why not monetize those in which you hate? Is that not correct? Got a first time guest, been friends memeing for a while now on Twitter, on the interwebs. It's been a great day to meme. My buddy Eric July's arm hair. Say hello.
How's it going, guys? How are you, bud?
Oh man, what a day to, if you love like internet sagas, there's a lot of stuff in Comicsgate. I just totally missed. And then this shit, I've like been here for every dumb little thing. And it's like, you think like, wow, what a, like this last, like 9 days or so, just a whirlwind, the Ricada shit. The responses, the lawsuit, the grave of Isom. Why would you show people the grave of Isom? Fucking retard.
I mean, it feels like it's only been a few days, but it's been like 2 weeks at least. I mean, it's been. Remember when like the lawsuit wasn't even served and things like that? Like we're moving along the timeline. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't know if you ever heard of War Campaign, but I used to be a brother in that, I guess you'd say. Not like high ranking or anything. I was just an idiot in the chat, in some of the private chats, meme here and there.
Mm-hmm.
And like Lando Pan, there's this guy, Matt, is like Crypto Comics or something like that. He turned out to be like a councilman for a city or some shit. And he tried to get this guy for memes. He tried to like bring the law on him, and he got prosecuted. Actually, he got prosecuted for like, I think he had to pay a fine for like digital littering. It was something stupid.
I've heard that before, though. I didn't realize that was something that like actually happened, though.
Yeah. Well, that was like months in between developments, here and there. Yeah, the streams are just about, hey, we got an idiot made a comic, and let's be stupid with them and kind of haze them.
I can't believe he's making streams every day after something happens. Like something will happen, and he'll just pop up a stream about it. Like it's like an endless cycle, and he knows that it's coming.
Oh my god! But it's just like it keeps coming, and dude, it's so crazy, dude. Like I didn't expect it to actually take off, and I'm like, hey, Dick, there's a chat with him in it. Like a channel he's on, the Blaze, on their side channels. Now 1,000 people in there, and we were taking over that chat, man. Now bunnies and tombstones. Jeez, and that's the crazy thing. We're gonna show that. We're gonna show that clip. I did not expect to have an actual worthwhile clip from a pre-recorded show.
It's a pretty good one too. Yeah, it's a pretty good one because it's he completely. I can't believe what he said. The first time I listened to it, I missed it completely.
Yeah.
And then I saw it again, and I was like, wow, can't believe he actually said that. It's because he goes on these meandering, like, like these tortoise interfaces have manipulated the sociopath economic, like he goes on these monologues that just don't mean anything all the time, and they take him to places that get him into trouble because he doesn't realize
what it is. It is, I think.
What?
Unfortunately, Race has a factor to play, I think, in some of his shenanigans. Not just the like tough guy hood crap that he wants to be cool with, even though he's like ANCAP and get married and have a family, which is like totally against the black narrative, of America. So I don't know why, but I think like that is really like a chip on his shoulder or something, being from that to whatever extent. I don't know how impoverished he was. Or
his dad left him.
Sure. But aside from it, just growing up in that kind of culture.
Well, yeah, you're going to, I mean, if you don't have male role models, you're not going to be in a good place when you grow up. That's just kind of how life works.
I can relate because I've had to like learn shit the hard way where it's like, I should have learned this lesson like 10 or more years ago, like into like going back to like high school or earlier, but I didn't have a father in my life to like instruct me. I had a stepdad, but he was brain injured, so I effectively didn't have a fucking dad.
I completely understand that.
So yeah, there's things where it's like, oh, this one really good con guy. Don't want to bring him into like solely him as far as like this is like drama shit. He's just a straight narrow kid, but as this guy on the stream, he's a young guy, got a great looking comic, picking his brain. Holy shit, man! Like you see, like you don't have conversations on the internet with like 40-year-old guys, and this like 18-year-old has got a father and a mother stable and invested in his life, and you hear the things he's saying are like, these are things I've just figured out the hard way.
These are things that I really would have benefited from if I.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
that's not actually what I was going to say about Eric. I think because he's went to school and he got like Thomas Sowell and stuff. There's part of him that like sees the total downside of black culture and stuff in America since the 60s, since Johnson and the welfare state was created. And he's aware of that reading stuff like Thomas Sowell, a guy who got red pilled and left the plantation. And so I think he really wants to sound smart. You know, he loves to like enunciate like on the internet instead of just like you can talk. It's weird when he chooses to talk white-ish, if you will, quote unquote, versus black.
Well, it's when he's selling. You know, you got to.
Yeah, and it's funny because you see it. You see it in Isom where it's like, I mean, Ricky have noticed like, what the hell? Like he'll be like, oh, I bet, you know, but then it'll be like saying like very over complex explanations like a white guy.
That's funny. No, I think the whole thing's hilarious. What do you think about that clip that today? I know that you want to. We'll play it at some point, but him just comparing his feud and his current situation to the whole war.
His Kampf, Mein Kampf, so to speak, which is hilarious because I made that Mine Warehouse meme.
That's funny. It's his Reichstag moment or whatever they call it.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Oh, it's like Palpatine, you know. It's like, they've left me scarred, but my resolve has never been stronger. It's like, no. Actually, you should just like shut up. Like,
you should just be quiet and just not make more videos.
Oh my god!
No, it's quite funny how that it works like that. But I mean,
yeah. Really quick,
TJ
he needs
Laser. To keep feeding his ego. You know, that's how it is.
Yeah, TJ Laser. Thanks for popping in first time. I know I've seen you in chats or comments. You are a Geek Getaway guy. Geek Getaway, I want to keep it contained a bit. It's been a long time since I've had like giant panels of like 8 people. Me and Ricky know what that's like. There's supposed to be another guest coming in here, so just waiting on him. So I want to keep it at 4. If one of these guys dips out at some point for some reason, then I'll slip you a link if you're still available and want to. But thanks for joining regardless. It's fun stuff. Feel free to send me stuff in DMs if I miss it sooner. Extra Hero, the geek guys, the reason you aren't streaming right now yourself because you're here. Well, the years start coming and they don't start coming. Robot dialysis. Hey, let's fucking go. I can't believe this shit is real. It's Rippa's strongest hater. Oh, dude. Oh my god. We forgot last time to show your videos. Just to like help spread them on the interwebs however we can. They are amazing. Beautiful stuff. And I guess I gotta become a patron of the Rippaverse because he's got a EVS based video coming soon that was not even influenced by today's events. So I can't wait till I gave an idea. I gave strongest hater an idea based on today's events.
That's funny. He's good. That guy, yeah, the strongest hater. He made
so quick.
He made an edit out of one of the memes that I made the other day, and I was like, damn, he had that thing up in like 18 minutes flat after I posted it or some shit like that. I was like, god damn, dude, go you. You know, you got that quick turnaround. I mean, I make my memes like on my phone, so it's pretty easy, but he's quick with the draw, you know what I mean?
What Ricky, why are you quiet?
Well, I was just letting you guys talk for a little bit. Yeah, I'm still getting off work a little bit, and I just ate and stuff, so I'm in like a food coma.
I need to eat, so I need you to take the reins for a second because I got some taquitos in the microwave ready for me to eat. So just watch the Fort Chitty Chat with Mr. Armhair for a minute.
no problem. Yeah, I am not as privy to everything going on today, other than EVS shared a screenshot of a message or whatever, and that's got a lot of people talking. That's
Yeah,
my update on today.
someone went to the the first thing was somebody went to the grave site and took a little picture. And I don't know if you saw that or not,
But yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. And then today Comicsgate and Eric are fighting, so he basically like sent him a midnight text saying like, hey, you better kiss the ring or else. And now and like Eric sent that to Comicsgate to Ethan, and Ethan's like, he posted that message, and now it's kind of war.
That's a recent one. I thought that looked like something that he would have said a while back, like with the Ricada stuff or something.
I think the message said the 10th, and today's the 16th, so I think it was like within the last week.
Oh, okay, yeah, it sounds like I've heard him say that before. I guess like there's some people that are being dancing around.
Yeah, those people needs to be on my side or else, something like that. That's what it was, basically a message like that. It was just more kiss the ring kind of stuff,
I gotcha. Yeah, when I read it, I honestly was kind of like, wait, so he doesn't talk about it. The way he words some things sometimes sound confusing. Like in the message, I was like,
yeah,
when people are on your show, other people can't talk about people you do like or that they have beef with, or so, okay, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, at some point it just seems like a rambling sentence that you don't really know where he's going with. It's like I said earlier, he gets on these tangents and these monologues. He doesn't know where he's going, so.
Yeah, which is weird because like after the Ricada streams, it looked like on Twitter he was like going to focus on just Rippaverse stuff, like on just doing.
I mean,
comics.
even I was kind of hoping he would. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah, I was like, oh, he's focusing on his crew, on the projects, on like questions, fun, whatever. Okay, and then it took a few days, and then it's back to the drama essentially. So
I mean, I'm trying to go after somebody else, like Melanie Mac doesn't drink water, I need a new target, but Rippa every single day he's coming out with a new video.
Yeah, it is entertaining. Yeah, I'm not like as on the ball with the stuff. Mostly Angus will share something or whatever, and then I'm like, oh, there we go. Yeah. There's that. I was one who was wanted to really like the Isom books, but I read them.
I mean, I think everybody would have liked to like them. You know what I mean? Like, good art is good art, but you can't be milking boomers' monies just for something that's not good. As well as scamming people.
Yeah, oh, shit, I didn't realize it wasn't unmuted. I was trying to drink like a good truck is a good truck.
Yeah, and that will not be tolerated.
But Mr. Layton, how is it going, my friend? You're a new guy. Just found looking up different coverage of this drama, and you're covering that well-documented Ricada synopsis of events. And got about halfway through, and I started seeing shit drop on Twitter. And so I'm like, oh my god, I gotta get. And then I saw you make a little shindig with the Blaze stream we all rated today. And it's like, oh man, dude, he's on it. Gotta get him on today. I can't even wait.
Yeah, so I did like random editing for small podcasts around Twitter and stuff. So I'm already sort of in that mind space. So when I start seeing stuff like that in chats, I immediately started screen recording it and like setting up. So. And then I had a lawyer on my stream, buddy of mine who I do shows with occasionally on to talk about the whole lawsuit and just drama in general, which I'll probably do another one of those streams eventually here with that same guy. So. Been definitely covering it because my channel's sort of semi-new, so I figure this is a good thing to jump on while it's happening. And I'm a fan of Dick, so and I was a fan of Eric, so it was sort of like one of those weird things. I would have loved for this comic book to have been good. I haven't read the second one, but the first one was not, so I did read that.
You're gonna love number 2.
I'm sure I'll just rush out.
Yeah, I think they go to hell with like Death Monkeys, the number 2.
There's more memes to add to the lore, if anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, and thank you, Ms. Smiling Bear, for joining. And hey, Leighton, send me a link to your channel so I can add it to my description so people can go sub to you.
Oh yeah, no problem. I have some eclectic content over there, but pretty soon here I'll have some documentaries and stuff that I'm going to be doing.
See, I heard like Dick was, I guess, the first guy you found on the internet, like when you really got into stuff.
Yeah. So when I I grew up in Alaska, and so I didn't have internet until I was later on, maybe 13, 14. So there was like not a ton of people I really found on the internet before him. Like he was one of the first people I came across. Saw a clip on Reddit. I think that was the first thing I would have seen, and just went down the rabbit hole from there. I mean, there was other YouTubers at the same time, but I mean, I was always into sort of troll, that kind of type of stuff on the internet. So I was always in forums and stuff like that. So
yeah. What's your channel name again, man? I just found it. It's Outlaw Thoughts, right?
yeah, I just put a link in the chat here.
Yeah.
The private chat. That's where I put my stuff up. Probably the biggest video on there is I did a documentary about a dude named Joe Vogler, who's like a figure over here in Alaska. But I do weird stuff kind of occasionally. I'll do like mini documentaries and stuff on different topics. But typically I just do streams talking about whatever's happening in the world. So
I don't mean to jump in, but what do you think about Nick's coverage of the Eric July lawsuit? How do you feel about all that? That's what Black Angus was talking about. I'm kind of curious on how you feel about it.
Yeah, so I mean, I think at first, I think he was very hesitant to really do much of anything because I think he realized it was going to become sort of fuel to the fire. But I do think, from my point of view, it seems Eric has some sort of, list, if you will. And I've, there's been tons of YouTubers who've done that in the past. So I can understand where he might have been hesitant at first to talk about stuff and then kind of covered it after the fact. But his coverage has been fine to me. I think, I've talked to a few other people I know who are a little more in tune with copyright law in the background of things. And they think this is like a 50-50 case. Most of them have sort of told me it's sort of like, well, technically, from their point of view, the way that Eric sort of has to attack this is by saying, well, we're not really that far connected. Like, we're not these conjoined things. We don't have too many similarities. Like, that's the pipeline he'll probably go down. But it's not. I didn't have a problem with Recada's coverage. I don't think it's going to be as fiery as what you'll see on Twitter and stuff, because people are going to be more apt to cover it, a little more directly. But I also think that as this progresses, I think Nick is probably going to be covering it more and more, which will probably drive Eric even more insane, and so he's probably going to be more likely to cover it with a little more just anger or whatever you want to refer to it as.
Was he talking about Ethan when he said that the friends? No, was he talking about Nick when in the text to Ethan he said the friends that you're defaming are currently defaming him? Black Angus, do you know about that?
I'm assuming he's talking about, because this. I want to say I was so surprised because can't remember what popped off exactly. I guess I became aware of Dick and Vito because of the Ricada thing, but it was like a Dick show where they were hanging out, and so I started following Dick's show. I didn't know about Biggest Problem for the longest time, so that's how I got into the Vito side of things. I'd say he's my favorite of the three. Clearly, I'm a Vito file, but At some point on the biggest problem, I was like, holy shit, like I just started watching this, and then oh my god, EVS is on here. What? And it's funny stuff, good Hitler memes and stuff between them. And then I learned retroactively about this beef between Vito and Eric about comics, and and then Dick reviewed it and everything took off. And so I want to say EVS was on there before the review, and then he's still cool with them, and he's like offering like, hey, you should like listen to this video, Eric. And he's like, well, these are detractors. So I'm pretty sure like, yeah, it's like EVS is cool if not friendly or friends, because they're like, hey, we love EVS, we don't hate Comicsgate or something, we're just like, your comic sucks, Eric, like it's just you.
Well, so
other people
EVS
are conservative.
Yeah, EVS made pretty obvious that Eric sort of doesn't want to be attached to Comicsgate, and so I think there was already probably sort of a divide there. And then when you add into it that EVS went on biggest problem in the universe, right? And was on an episode with them and stuff. So I think that's probably what led to those DMs. Is like, hey, don't get involved with these people, which is like stupid because you can't police what other people. Trying to police what other YouTubers who they talk to or run in the circles with is just stupid. And it always backfires. Like historically on this platform, like it never goes well because that shit's always outed. Which I think this has just been thoroughly outed at this point. He's, making a list and checking it twice.
Woo! Yes, that is. No, I'm writing that down. Oh my god, new meme ideas.
Agree. I completely agree. I think there's definitely a blacklist that he checks twice. I think I saw EVS on Ricada's stream the other day, and maybe that was the final thing that set him off.
Yeah, that's when they listened. In that stream is when EVS said that Eric didn't want to be affiliated with Comicsgate, like he wasn't a Comicsgate creator, and he made that clear. Gotcha. And so that to me is sort of evidence right there that's to me it's EVS saying I'm sort of out of the Eric loop now. I've been removed.
Yeah, that's what it sounded like to me too. I'd seen that the other day, but I hadn't watched the whole stream, so I appreciate that.
Yeah, no, we dug into that. We dug into that stream the other day, me and Rookie, and holy shit, was that funny and revealing. And then with this info dump from EVS, it makes it even more interesting where the reactions of EVS and stuff.
I see all the people in the Twitter, responding to it, or on X responding, being like, oh, you're shitty for putting out messages and all this shit. And it's like, here's the thing, like, EVS is sort of mutual in all of this. He had nothing to do on either side. If anything, I would say he was sort of, one of the people who was sort of against Vito and people, that side of things. So to see him doing that, I think is sort of telling, because it's like, well, this is.
I was just going to say, I mean this in the best way possible, but he needs some fans, doesn't he? Like, he needs to pay his bills somehow. Like, if he doesn't
Eric's channel's been dipping on viewership, besides the drama shit.
Yeah,
no one's watching him.
He still has.
So I'll talk a little bit about that. As somebody who is a fan of Eric's, the biggest shift that I've seen in his content, the reason I didn't watch his content recently and haven't, followed up with it, is because he went from doing sort of politics and economics videos to doing videos on only pop culture stuff, and sort of, the politics that surrounds pop culture, but pretty much strictly pop culture stuff. And when he made that switch, I think a lot of his fan base just stagnated, which is, people like me who were watching more for the other videos aren't really going to stick around for the pop culture crap,
Luster Dog says, only matter of time before Eric puts as Babyface and Nerjotic on his naughty list. Yeah, I'm waiting on that. It's been interesting if you've seen lately as really sucking off Eric.
I don't know if he ever really can to put them on a list of any kind, because I think his fan base at this point is so tied in with theirs that it's hard to separate them. I think most of his fan base that exists now is also fans with theirs.
It's the
So if
same.
you start drama, it starts splitting people.
Yeah,
and now
look
you
at
start.
Doomcock really.
Yeah,
screwed
exactly.
It's those same boomers that follow the quartering. You know what I mean? Like it's that same.
Precisely. I call them. It's thumbnail hunters. It's people who click on videos entirely based on thumbnails. They don't care about anything else.
I see them as boomer NPCs in my mind. That's how I see them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Rippa's strongest hater has a good one. He says Rippaverse first major event being a holy war was not something I saw coming. Especially because we've already passed the war in the comics. You know, the war of War of Secession or whatever the fuck he calls it, the superhero civil war in Texas or whatever.
The American Texas Civil War, of course.
His fan base is stumbling over who gets to hold Eric's arm hair shavings. Nerdrotic stopped wearing Isom merch. Ooh, interesting. Although I did see a recent clip of Alex Stein and Nerdrotic talking about Isom and the haters, and Vito tying Alex Stein into the warehouse incident of Riley by comparison with the stunt Alex Stein pulled at Barstool.
I don't think Alex Stein left money behind, though.
Yeah, he's actually a worse offender than Riley. Thanks for proving our point. You're clearly a detractor.
At least Riley left money. Like, it's like, what do you leave? $50 or $41 or something?
That's what I'm saying. It's like if you're at least gonna do it, leave behind a little compensation.
You can buy a lot of wife beater shirts with $41. I'm just saying.
How do you split $41 among 5 cops dusting for fingerprints?
It's like, what is the point of that? They have video footage and all this with it as well to show. We're gonna find the bunny man.
The bunny man made me do it.
I don't know. I think it's all kind of about perception, like there's a point where the courtroom is going to stop supporting Eric because it gets untenable for him to do so. You know what I mean? And that's what I aim to do personally.
Yeah. I hope this is successful. I hope it's something like Disney where it's like, look at all the money where we're winning the box office. Like, yeah, because we're all laughing at you. You're like Batwoman on screen. This is funny. We're gonna embarrass you with your success. You're welcome.
I said on my stream yesterday, when I politically somewhat aligned with Eric, so when I came across his content, that's why I got sort of interested in it in the first place back in the day. I've seen him speak at like an event in person and things like that, like because he would do some political events and stuff. But ultimately, like what he's done in the last like 2-3 weeks time is completely hypocrisy against any form of the politics he claims to like follow. The whole calling the cops with Riley, the whole doing the DMCA strikes on people in the first place, right? All of this stuff is stuff no one in my camp should be practicing.
Oh yeah.
It was.
Oh no, I wasn't trying to. I was just like.
Oh, you're fine. Yeah. So that was one of the things that first set me off. Was like, well, now you're like. When I saw the cop stuff, you mentioned them dusting for fingerprints. When I saw the actual police calls that were made, I was like, "Oh, fuck this dude!" Like, I don't have I'm not gonna hold any kind of And then this fucking with the whole tombstone shit, which, to be honest with you, it's fucking harsh, but it is hilarious at the same time.
It doesn't mean you should go cry online, though. You know what I mean?
No, exactly.
You shut the fuck up, because otherwise we're going to laugh at it's Sun Tzu. Meme them when they cry, and then meme them after they cry.
Redirect the direction. It's all about that.
Really quick, let me share this. I don't know if you've seen this, Leighton. this is fun. And yeah, robot dialysis about to show some of your stuff already. Pulling it up now. Here we go.
Sunday.
There we go.
The Rippaverse's strongest hater.
Rippa's strongest hater. His content is so on point, so funny, and boom, he made this shit not long after the fucking crying about this tombstone incident.
Sunday. It's a monster truck rally at Isom's grave, featuring Gravedigger. Kid seats are still just $5. Don't miss the long distance pissing competition. Or be queer.
Oh, it's so good. I love you.
That's amazing. That's
when I saw on the screen where it's like Isom swag. What gave you that? Was it just Gravedigger? Let me know in the chat, Mr. Hater, because that killed me.
Yeah, that was a good one. I like that one. He does a bunch of good stuff. His whole Twitter feed is always a new edit.
Yeah, when I opened up the chat for the Blaze stream there and just saw the wall of bunnies and gravestones and turtles, I was like, oh, Jesus Christ. It was literally like an 80-20 ratio in the comments. It was insane.
Do we think this is going to help or hurt Eric July with Yaira and Alpha Corp / Corp?
So I might take a different opinion than some on this. I actually think those books will probably be successful. I don't know if they're going to be nearly. Yeah, I don't think they're going to be nearly as successful as the first sort of rush of people getting on board with the Isom stuff, partially because of this. But you also have to keep in mind, if he has a lawsuit active, he has a real opportunity from a marketing standpoint. This is just my opinion. Instead of saying, here's a GoFundMe for legal trouble, right? Instead of this, why don't you just buy this book that I'm releasing instead? And I think he'll push more people to buy it based on that.
I don't think he's smart enough to do that.
Yeah, you could be right there.
I thought it'd be interesting if he were to go with changing the name from Isom or whatever, and have it be where in the book there's like this secret organization that forced him to change his name or something, and like, I don't know, incorporate that into the book in some way or shape or form. I think that'd be kind of a funny way of owning it or something, owning that and whatnot. But
I do agree with you there.
Like, it's like, there's like, have that become a villain presence in the series or something, and then that be a reason why Isom becomes a name that cannot be spoken in the book. And it's like, oh, you know who I'm talking about, right? Yeah, that old name. Yeah, I can't. Yeah, something
the
like
problem
that.
is, I think all of that would take good writing, and I think we've established that that's not going to happen here.
I can dream, but yeah, this is why I think that Yaira and Alpha Core might have a shot at being better. I mean, I haven't seen much of the
because other people writing it,
but they seem like they have a lot more creative personality to it, so I feel like those might be more enjoyable books, honestly. Even if the writing might not be great, it looks like they'll be more fun.
The point that was made by Tyler Yonke, who's the lawyer I had on my show yesterday, he made the point that this is what CEOs are for, and that Eric really needs to think about having somebody who's sort of in charge of the creative / legal, stuff versus the actual business itself. And you have to sort of separate that. And so I think regardless of what he chooses to do, he needs to move in that direction. If he's smart, which, is debatable.
But that's a level of self-reflection that is just impossible for some people. It's just it's because I've worked with people like him before, and there's just, you can't look at yourself and look at your mistakes, and you can't have a CEO that's going to be useful. And like he said earlier, like he was saying, why can't other companies, they have a publicist and they put things out. Why can't I put things out? It's because, Eric, you're not a fucking publicist. You don't sound like a publicist. You sound like a retarded person. Okay, you need to calm it down a little bit and say things in a more organized way, and don't just, shoot off the belt. It's framing, and it's perspective, and it's how people interpret how you're doing things, and if you're a professional business or not. And right now people are interpreting that he's not a professional.
He did it for
right, and I think,
like I said, after the Nick stream, after the first one, it seemed like for about a week he was just focusing on Rippaverse comics, that stuff, and then it broke through again, and then continued, and never mind. Okay, back to responding.
He just seems to, to be honest with you, there is a problem with the internet where some people are just not made to react to things on it. And I think when you're somebody like him who was doing sort of the content he was, where he's sort of reacting to pop culture things and media and stuff, you sort of do get disconnected from like the general internet culture and like how the world's working online and social media. And so I think there's some of that going on where he just doesn't have the wherewithal to react to some of this stuff or sort of put up any kind of fight. So instead he's just sort of complaining about it, which just spirals, like, it just makes it worse.
And it's weird because, I mean, it's the Rippaverse, and he, like, it seems like there can be no off mode for the company compared to himself, because he is the brand, right. That is the thing. And so that's a very hard line to straddle in a way, compared to somebody who like owns a company, and then somebody else is more the face of the company and you're the owner and you could be yourself sort of on the side. He is both. And so that affects the business. No matter what he does ever affects the business at all times, it seems. And
definitely,
I don't know how that'll be going forward. I mean, I don't know.
a little example. It's small, but it says on Twitter. The reason my name is not just Black Angus Reviews on Twitter, and it's Broke Black Angus Mountain Reviews, is because if you go on my channel, you see there's this one video I did like a month ago about my interaction. It's called the ill-advised tweets arc or whatever.
I saw that.
Yeah, and it's my interaction back and forth with Eric. And it's like, dude, it's like, why does it pain you that people like this universe? And I'm like, well, here's why. Your fucking shit sucks. It makes no sense. What is his power? And of course, that's like the fucking $6 million question no one, including the guy who made it, can answer. Funny, because like I'm trying to make a comic, and it's like, what are the limits of my character? I don't know. Generally, I tell you, he's kind of a Captain America power level. He's more or less just a classic strong man. Maybe it'll become metaphysical, but he's not ridiculous. He's not fucking Superman. Where are the ranges? I don't know exactly, but I can tell you that I haven't even made the first comic. This guy's had $6 million, 200 pages. Can't tell me what his limits are at all, besides he can't fly. It's the one thing, he can't fly. And I'm like, that is kind of central. It's not just you've done 2 issues. Like, no, you've done 2 issues worth like 8, 9, 10 comics worth, of regular comics. And you're supposed to be this storied, learned comic creator. This is kind of foundational, because I don't need to know everything about your character. Sure, give me surprise, but like I need some definition to understand the risk to the character. And like that's the key. And he's like, this sounds like a personal grievance. What's really and it's like he literally shifts the goalpost like a retard. And it was so frustrating. And in that, there's always people, because of course a big guy with a following is tweeting, monetizing his hate or whatever, trying to make me look like an idiot and trying to call me a retard in I guess his polite way. And I'm not backing down. It's not, his following is not deterring me at all. I'm like, no, dude, your shit sucks. You're a fucking retard. And someone called me, oh, I want attention. Look at me, come to my channel. I'm Broke Black Angus Mountain Reviews. I'm like, ha, that's fucking funny. And I own it. It's literally my Twitter handle now. It's like, now you have no fucking fuel. You try to call me a fairy or something, and it's like, that does nothing to me, dude.
Those who care less have more power. It's one of those types of things.
Yeah. Yeah,
It's like
EVS has encapsulated that ever since he started pretty much with his run on Comicsgate. Is like, call him fat, call him whatever, how many XL exactly on him and whatnot. But Yeah, a writing thing too. There's a rule, I forgot who I was listening to. It's like if you have setups, you should have at least one payoff. Even if you have 5 setups, have at least 1 or 2 payoffs here and there. Within 200 pages, you think there'd be a couple, but it's like no payoffs in this book. I feel like that's why they also come off the way they do. There's no payoffs in Isom. It's just setups and then
that's what's weird too. So this Robco guy says, Eric went on a YouTube stream today called Green's House. Do you have to delete the chat and turn the comments off? You'll have to get that to one of us on Twitter. That sounds hilarious. I want to see that. Whatever the hell it was, the fact that they're trolling bunnies and they cried. This dude, it's funny. That's why I get kicked out. It's so cringe seeing like Friday Night Tights retards and Rippaverse are like, yeah, I love this series. I can't wait for issue 3. Oh, I'm so excited for this, and we will win. Marvel's so scared, haha. And then you just poke little holes like, ha, your shit sucks or something, or hey, check out this review, and they fucking their knees break under them from the weight of
why do you
criticism
hold such hate within you, Angus?
Yeah, or what I'm loving is, let's just call it what this is. These are racist people. This is what they're attacking a successful black businessman. The ANCAP libertarian, anti-SJW, anti-woke, first fuckers to pull the victim card for race.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's well, see, and that's so I'm an ANCAP. That is what I am. So the whole thing with him was always sort of funny, and that was why I had an issue with the reaction to the Riley stuff, was always that. And then on top of it, the again, from like a strategic angle, I'm just looking at all the decisions he's made over a month's time, going, Jesus Christ, could you have done anything worse? Could you have made any move that didn't dig this hole deeper?
Well, it's this idea that he's infallible. Like, it's what we were talking about a minute ago. Like, Black Angus, you can realize that you need to know the powers of your superhero because you've done that before and you've realized that and you've had that self-reflection. Eric won't do that. You know what I mean? That's why he's continuing to make these mistakes and he's continuing to not improve in the ways that we would usually improve if we actually cared about a comic book.
Right.
I mean, wait, really quick, Mr. Armhair.
Yeah,
I love calling you Mr. Armhair. What got you started in all this?
I find it funny.
Well, I mean, like following Eric and Dick and Vito, all this like drama. Like, what got you? How'd you first find this stuff?
I'm a big dickhead.
Ooh, okay. Yeah. Vito versus Dick. Yeah, we work together so well, just like the biggest problem. That's hilarious.
Well, you know what? I would be a lot nicer to Vito if it weren't for the fact that he's ghosted me. The motherfucker has ghosted me 3 times on coming on my show. He's agreed to it twice and then just vanishes. And it's like, you motherfucker! Like,
I'd be a lot nicer for Vito if I didn't have to stick up for him on Twitter all the time. You know what I mean?
You know, it's funny that you say that, Leighton, because when I had him on for Super Killer, it was like Sunday, so it's 2 days till Tuesday, and I'm like, hey, well, because I've had my own problems, I've had to cancel or reschedule, or whatever. So I'm just like, hey, we're still on for Tuesday, right? And he's like, the way I'm inferring in tone, he's like, yeah. Like, why wouldn't? It's just like, I don't know, I'm just checking. And then the fact that he's like, fucking, oh yeah, whatever, ghost. It's like, wow, that would not get that impression from Vito. He seems pretty on point this internet game.
Yeah. No, I'll get him on eventually. I know I'm going to get Dick on like episode 108 or 109 or something around there. So that'll work out.
You're on what, 70 now?
Yeah, we'll be on 70. I think this next one. Last episode was 69. So this next episode will be 70.
Is that guy who's on? Is he your normal co-host, or are you normally flying solo?
No, actually, my normal co-host is a guy named Kareem Mays, who he's like space in the liberty movement, kind of libertarian thing.
I saw you had the I don't know how I found this. I was looking up Isom to like meme it, and I found that voluntarist comic guy.
Okay, yeah, Jack Lloyd.
What's he like?
Yeah. I've met Jack a few times in person. He's a nice guy. I've met him and Faux, which is like his wife. I know he, sort of rides around on all the different comic book movements, so I wouldn't be surprised if he's chatting about this whole Eric July thing on his Twitter. But I try not to. I don't know, when it's people like that who are sort of in my own sphere of people, I'm like, I'm just gonna ignore the retarded things you do. But unless you're too bad. But he's done some stuff that I thought was pretty stupid. But his comic books, I think, better than Isom, I'd argue, and made a hell of a lot less money, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, no, I agree with you on common sense.
But his comic book, the difference between the voluntarist thing and Isom is he's open with it. Like, he's like, no, this is a political comic book. Like, you're buying this because you're a member of this sort of ideology or you're interested in it. Versus Eric, who's just not willing to openly do that because he knows it cuts out part of his market. So instead, he went the anti-woke route, which is just sort of dumb in my book because it also pigeonholes you the same way. Because you're always going to be known as a book that was written to be anti-woke, not as a book that was just written to be good.
I still can't believe he made that much on his first campaign.
Dude, there's a comic guy that, like, he owns a shop and he's not a woke tar or nothing. He doesn't carry DC at all because of the shenanigans with the China virus. Whoops, I'm supposed to say the Asiatic infection. Sorry, YouTube. Don't ding me more. The Asiatic infection. And so with that stuff and what DC did, we're working with Midtown Comics, I think, and whatever other companies handling their shit now. He's like, it's not worth it for me I'm paying more for a competitor to give me my comics. And because it's a competitor, I'm going to get shafted if they're shorted for like favoritism. So it's just like, I don't care DC. I haven't carried them for like 2 years. My audience that comes here to the store doesn't care. Anyway, I informed him where to go to read the PDF of Isom. And he got back to me. Let me see. I've always meant to play this, but I can't figure out how to save it from here because he has an Android and the DM is a Android to my iPhone. Let me see really quick. Let's see. Where did I? Okay, here it is.
So I read the whole thing. That book is absolute garbage. Like, the pacing is just terrible. The dialogue in it is horrible. It's just bad. Like, when does the book go to the present? Because, like, the beginning of the book, it says, 2 weeks earlier. And then, when it cuts to, the next scene, it says earlier. So,
the 2 weeks earlier thing is hilarious.
Does it go back to the 2 weeks before when it goes earlier than that? It's horribly laid out. It's like the guy's never written a book before in his life. But just a bad book, man.
It's funny. He's like, he defends it. He's like, I think it's some of the best comic art ever. I'm like, what? This shit's so flat, man. What are you talking about? Like, I'm not even an aficionado. I'm a novice reader, but I'm like, God damn, this is fucking just the color scheme and the lining. It's too thin of lining.
So my comic credentials comes from the fact that my mom was a huge comic book fan, and so I inherited her collection of 70s sort of through to the late 70s, early 80s comics, and so I'm used to that art style from that time period. But looking at that, it's not bad art, but it's not great, the Isom stuff. It looks very flat. I like that description you used a minute ago. That's very accurate.
Where do you guys think the drama goes from here? I hear that Riley is making a mixtape. How do you guys feel about that?
The diss track, which is hilarious. The white guy's going to diss him in his own sphere.
So I think that as the lawsuit progresses, that'll be what really sort of progresses a lot of the drama sphere on it, because you're going to have Ricada, I'm assuming, reacting to the lawsuit as it comes out. Because otherwise, he's going to have his entire fan base sort of bitching at him to do exactly that.
Every
or
negative
at least
opinion,
you know what this is?
he's gonna get more shit. Every
Turns
negative.
out Baron has been funding Nick Recato the whole time. That's going to be the angle.
Well, I think the meme I posted of the guys with the couch with Eric on it yesterday on Twitter, that when I was making that, I was debating whether or not to add Recato to it. I was like, nah, he seems pretty mad. I'm going to put him on there.
Oh, dude, every time, like with YouTube, I've had a few times where I'm like, should I do this? Should I don't know. Like, I used to be a big Geeks and Gamers follower. Like when me and Ricky started in the YouTube game, we're Star Wars guys, and Geeks and Gamers came up, and we're just having fun shindig time on the internet and hating new Star Wars. And I make this what I call Saint Germanus video because I used to be Catholic. And so I know all this lore of the saints and shit. And some of the just like little things he said, I started like, oh, I got an idea. And then I'm like, oh no, I got in my head. I'm like, fuck, they're going to think I'm sacrilegious. All these conservatives, they're probably going to be Christian. They're probably going to think I'm the devil or something. I'm going to lose all the groundwork I've had building my channel. Fuck. Because I grew up with a wacko Christian mom. Everything's the devil. Harry Potter's evil. She wouldn't even watch Lord of the Rings. Because of like she saw the Balrog and Gandalf, despite the fact we became Catholic and he's like a great Catholic writer, but whatever, you know. So that's kind of the world I'm from. Everything's the fucking devil. Somehow she let me have Star Wars. I don't know how. I was scared is in my head, and then I'm like, I do it, and then it's a great little success for my channel. Like fuck, every time you're like, should I do it? Do it. That little like fear, it means you're onto something. It means you're saying something real that's going to ruffle feathers.
Yep. No, I'm with you there. It's interesting seeing the reactions to a lot of the, I think that's going to be interesting too, as this progresses, the lawsuit stuff, you're going to have other YouTubers, I think, that sort of,
catch on,
start catching on and start talking about how maybe they were wrong or fucked up. And if that happens, then it's going to get crazy because you're going to have sort of the backlash from that. And like the problem too is that Rippa has created this, monetize the haters energy on his channel, and his fan base is going to expect that. So anybody who comes out against him at this point, they're expecting to see this.
Dude, this
reaction.
Sets him up for failure. I love it because he's gonna be like a fucking rabid dog, and he's gonna bite the hand that feeds. He's gonna bite Glenn Beck one day. It's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's it doesn't look like it's something that will pan out good for him in the long run. That's for sure.
Eric, July Armhair, your our friend, responded. One of my things said, dude, what kind of corny shit is this? You desperate for some cancellations, punk. Like, what is this guy? He's like Wimp Low from fucking Kung Power of the Fist.
All those guys are some kind of sub 80 IQ loser, one brand or another. Like one guy's a Cat Williams lookalike, another looks like a penguin. Like I don't know where he gets these guys from, but they are from like the lowest depths of whatever hell he created in his comic book. It's these
one
guys
of
are
the
rough.
Dimensions of hell.
These guys are rough looking. You know what I mean?
Clear,
they
there's
are
no
the
other
demon
hells,
monkeys
just
that he
one
writes
hell.
About. Yeah.
I love it too. It's just like, oh, yeah, this funny Avery Knox shit with his video, and Dick does his mouth cutout shit. And it's like, well, that was fun. I was a little late a week for something. And then, oh my God, the Grave site. And then, oh my God, EVS. And oh my God, the Blaze stream.
The mouth cutout was probably the funniest part.
That fucking killed me, dude.
It really
love
did.
it. He's like,
me.
who owns the trademark? I was like, well, yeah.
My people don't be really.
We don't really own anything. We're more on the receiving side of that. Like,
that cracks me up.
That's fucking brilliant. And it's very clear, like maybe he shopped some like rough idea in his head, but then executing it, playing off of Vito. And Vito was very clear, like, I like comedy, but I don't want to be racist, but racism is funny.
He very clearly, like, Vito can play into him very well, but sometimes he just doesn't because he thinks it's too far. It's really funny.
Yeah, it's funny. It's funny you see Vito switch from like, oh god, I really don't want to do this, even though it is funny because of optics. But then like,
okay, I'll do this.
He'll hear something like hear the Sonic part, and then Vito just like totally 180, and you're like, you see Sonic and the Hedgehog, the hot dog.
I can't believe he made that video and said that.
Fucking Sonic, and then Nick Rekieta, who I don't even know if he's a gamer at all. He's a fucking lawyer, so I wouldn't expect any gaming content at all from him. And he's like, oh yeah, it's actually famous copyright. Sega or Sonic used to have to be Sega Sonic. What a retard.
I don't know. I just can't believe he made that comparison in a video. Official response to Isom. He said that
I'm getting sued for trademarks, so let me cite the
Sonic
versus Sonic U.S. Supreme Court ruling that never happened because they've never fucking had a problem. Actually, if they did before, they'd be like, well, it's Sega Sonic, so they're already in the clear against us.
No, I thought that was pretty funny. I was enjoying him going down that rabbit hole.
Well, like before Cadis clarified that with the EVS, I already knew that was wrong because I'm trying to make meth gear, and so I talked to a lawyer because people were like, hey, like, is it gonna fuck you? And so I talked to a lawyer just on the phone consultation, and it's like, yeah, so I got this like silly superhero comic based off a news article. That's where it's inspired from. And there's like this wacky sci-fi movie with like essentially a meth kaiju. So very different stories off the bat already. We're going very different ways. The question is like, we'll have to worry about this down the road. And he's like, well, I've already sold shit, so I have common law precedent. But then also, he's like, well, like it's a news article, so it's like public domain type shit, so you can't really copyright. Like you'd have to. This is where I kind of learned about like Marvel's Thor, because Thor is an open market fucking character like Snow White. You have to trademark your brand's version of that. Right. So because off the bat, I already knew like you can't trademark words. You can't trademark like coffee.
You have to do like Nike, the shoe brand, not Nike, the word. Yeah. Inside.
Yeah. Even if it's also, like their merchandise is like one word, they actually are probably trademarked as like the Nike foot apparel company or something like that.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
What are you saying, Leighton?
Oh, it's with the Thor thing. It's because of the religious connotations and stuff. I know that Marvel had to make specific changes, like the helmet and stuff like that, and symbolism they use had to be very specific for their version of it. What you were talking about, I knew that because I've watched. There's a documentary. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but I couldn't. So, stoner brain.
That's interesting. No, I was surprised that Eric called the church greedy. That was the thing that really knocked my socks off.
That, by the way, none of that looks good. Like him doing that shit, the quote Christian shit, and then his fan base reacting the way that they did. I think it was EVS mentioned on the Rekieta stream that he felt as though it was a trap, that the ministry sort of was setting a trap on Twitter because they knew how the fan base would respond to it. And I don't necessarily disagree with him. I think that's probably true.
I think setting a trap is the wrong wordage. I think collecting evidence and reacting to public outcry would be the correct termage.
Yes, but yes, I think that's what they were doing. I think they were gauging sort of how his fans would react, and then when you see how that happened, as a Christian,
and how he reacted, like you don't want the CEO publicists like saying the N-word, calling people things, like going on streams.
These crackhead niggas these crackhead niggas over at the ministry be thinking they get my paper.
I mean, that's basically what he's going on. Like, that's what he said to Nick Rekieta. Like, it's not out of the window.
Right. They said it to the guy that this church is watching his content. about their
crazy.
lawsuit against him.
Yeah.
And they're like, wow, yeah, this guy, he's like saying really good stuff
So,
about
yeah.
us suing his friend.
That's the other crazy thing, right? Is that Ricada is going to be reacting to this lawsuit, and now Ricada is fully aware that these people are reacting to his reaction of the lawsuit. And because Ricada has a decent sized fan base, they can use his fan base to sort of gauge how Eric is doing, which is a really bad position from a strategic position to be if you're Eric.
Yeah, really, really bad. Yeah.
Because they'll be able to use that within negotiations. They'll be able to know whether or not the general internet is for or against what he's doing at any given moment, which is not good.
And a perpetuity license, like for using the name Isom, is completely not off the table. Like the idea that the first negotiation they said that was in good faith, and then the second one where they had like firm contracts was like perpetuity. That's ridiculous to me. Like obviously they're the one with the trademark. They're gonna negotiate hard. You fucking retard. Like what was he thinking? Like to not even respond to the lawsuit by the 10th as well. Like I can't even believe that.
Hey, Arm Hair, I'm about to send you a DM. It's nothing crazy. Just this is for a future meme. I just came to mind. It'd be perfect template to
That's
think
when
he's like,
yeah,
we be tied at the hip.
Yeah,
we be tied at the hip perpetually.
Maybe
forever.
even a carousel of that time with Eric July. That might be something we have to cook together.
Let's see. Crap. I'm sending you just this image so we don't forget.
No, I don't know. I think especially the public outcry that they gotten. I don't know if you watched the video from Isom and from the owner, but he came off as like such a sweet old man that it's like, nothing's gonna happen to him. Like he has money. He's in 25 countries. Like
150 countries.
That was what I said. He comes off as like, oh, it's harder to be mad at him by comparison based on how he carries himself compared to how Eric carries himself.
Completely.
Definitely.
It's funny, Taser Man. Hello, Taser Man. If you're watching, I see you. There you are. I'm in the chat watching y'all bitch ass weirdos cry about another man's success. We crying about a black man succeeding. Don't worry, Mr. White Man about to get that paper. If I ever feel uncomfortable, just know I'm half black. So.
Oh, I don't.
Coverage.
The crew that I run with on the internet
I know
are
you're
not
a big fan and stuff. We're biggest problem people, but you never know when people might be a leftist, and so they're really just rooting because they're against.
So the group my Twitter account came up with on the internet is called the Tower Gang. They have a podcast, and they are, as offensive as you're gonna get.
Well, good. Yeah, he's got a good artist doing promos and the most bland art in the book. Yeah, well, yeah. What's funny is like, well, we're taking on Marvel and this and that, and it's like the only solid choice I see is like the Sauce Sisters. I've heard had a good run of Black Widow. I guess it got canceled earlier or some shit. I don't know. People seem to be positive about their experience so far, but they're mainly movie people, so we'll see. Maybe be movie people make them better plot hole kind of writers. We'll see.
Yeah, the thing that I agree with, like the Nerdrotic guys and the Geeks and Gamers people on and stuff, is that I genuinely don't like new movies. But I've kind of never really liked new movies, so it's not necessarily just a woke thing. It's just I'm not a fan of how they're made. So it I don't care for a lot of the new stuff that comes out, but I haven't really watched a Marvel movie in probably since the last Avengers movie, like the big one. I watched that.
Oh, in-game?
Yeah.
Love it. Using racist words, I might report you. What did I say was what word did I say racist?
Penguin's in the chat. He's being a bit of a penguin. It'll be okay.
Well, I mean, it'd be really crazy, just like an ANCAP calling the cops. Be crazy for black on black violence on the internet. Be saying the N-word and you strike me. Doesn't look too good now.
Mm-hmm. one year has fucked y'all up. I mean, we're having a good time actually. It's kind of fun.
We are having a time, dude. Eric is such a fucking like he's gone from a tough guy, we will win. It's like, whoa, this guy's really rolling out. He's really fucking launching a salvo, and then $3 million. He's on Fox, going no woke comics. Wow, this is legit. And then you read it, and it's like, oh man, why? Oh god, I fell for it. Fuck.
Well, it's like I'm the kind of guy that I'm trying to be a creator. I'm trying to learn what to do and what not to do when it comes to writing stuff. So I find it interesting. I'll watch horrible stuff and great stuff. I'll learn from both. So same when it comes to comics and stuff and reading. It's like, okay,
yeah, I mean,
there's something to take away either way, you know.
I don't have a problem commenting on the comic book and the quality of stuff simply because I grew up reading comic books when I was younger, and today, like, what I primarily do is write scripts. So, like, I'm, in, like, journalism stuff, and so I'm used to writing, and so when I see shitty writing, like, well, you can't really make an excuse for that, like, so the whole thing to me was just like, well, no, people are allowed to critique a book, and to be honest with you, if you're dick writing somebody simply based off of their political view, or simply based off of their race, or simply based off of the fact that you agree with the sentiment of their book, then I think you're just a garbage critic to begin with on either side.
It's the bigotry of low expectations. Really.
Absolutely.
I really think he is for these people, his so-called YouTube friends. I really think he is a pawn. He is, regardless if individuals are friends to them legitimately, they legitimately like him. It looks good on paper when you're saying all this Republican stuff that the media says is the racisms. Like, well, I'm not look, I helped this black man make $3 million. I'm cool with it, Like it's advantageous to have a minority saying right-leaning things in your sphere as a shield. It is. We're in the era of
well, Dick said it. Dick said it. He's a human shield, and his fans are human shields, and they're being used by the sort of people that are streaming with him because they'll placate him because he's made all this money, but also because if they come out against him, then you can play sort of this idea. It plays into the idea of them being racist or having those sort of ideas. So it's an interesting sort of conundrum.
Yeah, no, it is funny to like catch the leftist, or it's like, whoa, do you hate this guy because he's black? It's funny to like, haha, gotcha, and then they have to like, but like legitimately after the joke, it's like, no, for real, let's actually critique it, and they're like, no, whoa, you hating a black man's success? And it's like, whoa, wait, why are we saying this? This is not a joke anymore. It's like we're on the same side, I thought, and then so it's like.
Well, and bad writing's okay to have, it's all right.
If he would just own it, be like, hey, well, you know what? Yeah, I got ahead of myself. This seems to be a trend with YouTube guys doing projects. They talk a lot of criticism, rightfully so, but then doing it is a whole nother thing. And I bit off more than I can chew. I was not prepared for execution like I thought I was. Stick around. It's going to get better, man. I'm learning every day. This is what EVS does. EVS eats he eats pie, but one of those pies is humble pie, despite his pompous, grandeur. At the end of the day, you hear the earnestness in him where he's like, God, I really hope he likes. I really worked hard on this. And it's like, I am not a fan of Cyberfrog 2. Love number 1. I don't think he can make number 1 if he wasn't like a parent and had experience in life compared to like, the beginnings of Cyberfrog when he's a dumb kid getting into the game. No family, no kids, no wife, single kid. Edgy humor, whatever. Now he's like elevated. He's gone through cancellation and weirdo mobs because he's a Trumper. He's in form, but I'm not a fan of Cyberfrog 2, but I'm not like crapping on him. I'll crap on his book when I get around to actually reviewing it on the channel. But no, Eric has really inspired something unique that I've never felt with YouTubers for. It's like, if I don't like YouTubers, I just like don't watch them. But like, he's made it fun. It's weird. It's for me.
Well, so that's the what it is, and what I've been saying. I mentioned this on the stream with Tyler the other day. It's the process of them becoming of somebody starting to become a lolcow. That's not a position you ever want to be in. That's what it looks like. It's like it becomes enjoyable for people to shit on you. And I want to say to Taser in the thing, he mentioned that he's not an SJW or whatever. Here's the thing. I've seen from a lot of Eric's fans, when I was an outside observer, completely removed from it, that you don't have to be an SJW to use the same tactics that they do. And if you don't think there's Marxist or ideological tendencies tied into glomming on to somebody simply because of their race or political views, like I said previously, that itself is part of that problem. And it's not something that's just present on the left. It is also present on the right, or the anarchist, or the ANCAP. And anybody who doesn't admit that is stupid and not willing to open up their mind to real political systems and how they function, or ideologies.
I think it's that, but I also think he hires all his own friends and the people that like him around him. You know what I mean? That doesn't
right, exactly.
Diversity of thought. It feeds singularity of thought and ego-ness, you know?
If EVS is a drama farmer, I'm more than happy to work a tractor for him. That is sort of the process of being on the internet. So that's content, baby.
Yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, part of me thinks, because this goes back to like August, this drop. I think it's EVS like seeing a line, seeing like the reality, like this guy is a fucking idiot. He's gonna like sink all this tide to him.
Surprisingly, I think a turning point for EVS was probably when Ricada showed on his stream that Vito had basically said, "I'm willing to help with whatever you need." All jokes aside, like that sort of genuine tweet he put up. I think when EVS saw that and saw the collective sort of way everything had shifted over that past month, I think he went, "Oh shit, this isn't good." Because EVS has dealt with the copyright stuff before. So he knows this is not going to work out the way that Eric thinks, and that he's probably unprepared legally.
Yeah, well, I think it was a clear, like, people think it's advantageous, or like, oh, he doesn't like Eric making more than him or something. And so he's trying to like drown him to keep him under or whatever from his successes. Like, he's hung around for 2 campaigns that have, equated or still outshined EVS.
To be honest with you, I think he sent out some kind of message in the past few days to all his supporters around him. Like Cyberfrog got one, the Quartering got one. Like I think that he kind of needed some support for the last few days, and maybe EVS didn't take the fall in line as easily as everybody else did.
And he might have wanted him to, because he did a cover for Isom too. I mean, that was one of the things as well. He worked on him.
I hope EVS, for his payout, instead of just getting cash for it, I hope he got like so many copies of Isom too, so he can sell it himself. And like, if he goes to convention, like, hey, here's
you can give him to charity.
Here's my cover for like $200. Sign. There you go. Like,
I heard there's a charity.
This is illegal content. Here you go. It's super rare. $500 a copy.
That charity thing's crazy to me, that no one else understands that, really. Like, that frustrates me to the end of the earth. I don't know about you guys, but just the idea that like people don't get how it's possible that it's impossible for him to spend more than $5 on a comic book to make it, first of all, and then the idea that it was even close to 17 is just ridiculous. It pisses me off every single time.
So I do auditing work as my profession. So when I saw the stuff going on with the charity stuff, I just did some basic number crunching, and that leads you down a rabbit hole of this doesn't look good. Because the way things are done on the back end, whenever you're involving with charities, whether you're talking like 501c or whatever type of charitable organization you've
You
set
can't
up.
write off work.
Yeah, exactly. So labor is different from the actual monetary value of the item. It's very separated. And you can't you can't write it off. You can in other places, but not directly on that. So it doesn't attribute to the value. And so the way that he phrased it on Rakata, if that's the way that they did the math and that's how they reported things, that is not good. That is very much so a violation. Now, does it mean you're going to get completely shut down and stuff? No, but it does mean you might be levied a fine. And at this point, with how much he's got revenue-wise, when you're actually talking about what that fine would be, you're probably talking around the $20,000 to $30,000 range, which is sort of like a drop in the bank at this point. So I think that's why he's just sort of not concerned about it. But he should be, because what it will open you up to is perception and them coming in and auditing things and pulling apart your business and stuff that you really just don't want to do, especially not when you're dealing with a court case.
Or another court case, just
precisely, right.
Yeah. And I know that is the end goal, as you were talking about, of course. But like
it's
the
like
idea
your
of
picture, arm hair, your picture while you're saying that, it's hilarious.
The idea of sustaining 2 lawsuits and one from the government is just it's incredible.
Well, and I mean, as somebody who is a libertarian sort of ANCAP, I'll tell you, the worst enemy you can go up against is the federal or state governments. Like that's what you typically try to stay as far away from, let alone the IRS or SEC or things like that. It's like, no, those are the people you stay as far away from as you can.
Those are the bureaucracy that we've been fighting for 25 years. Those are the people
exactly
that really could binge over.
So before I lose track, I want to share this. Let me share my screen. So this is in response to Rippa Haters, Strongest Hater, chronicled that clip from the Blaze stream Eric was on today that they recorded. This is from a few weeks ago. I was joking because Glenn Beck, Mormon, so a variant of Christianity. Not arguing about not going to argue about the value of it.
Hey, I was raised Jewish. I have no fight in that battle. I am not religiously connected to anybody. So
regardless, it was just funny. And this is uninspired or whatever. It was just, you see everyone talking about Biden doing the sign of the cross in front of Netanyahu a few weeks ago, like 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago. And everyone's like, ha ha ha, look how decrepit Joe Biden is. He's doing the sign of the cross sporadically because he's senile. Glenn Beck, on the other hand, who's a guy generally I've respected as a commentator. Not been like a deep lore guy in this guy, but I've never grown up watching him on Fox and seeing him go solo. It's like, okay, I like the value of this guy. He had some really good in-depth stuff when I was a kid about China and Obama trying to compete with China with like solar energy and shit. And it's like, it's not going to work, dude. Chinese, they got like 3 laws for workforce. We have like 20. That means more money because all these middlemen, we can't compete. Right. We have to do our own shit, with like solar energy for an example, panels and stuff. So I see value of Beck's investigative, deductive reasoning, whatever. And anyway, the fact that him being a Mormon, which is like arguably super Christian in the sense that they're not accepted by anyone else, really. They're a cult. They have a 3rd book. It's heresy to everyone else. So it has
I have one here somewhere.
You have to have some conviction to be in the Fox News sphere and be a spokesman or whatever for that brand and be a Mormon. It has some value in my book. But then there's a guy being a complete Zionist crying, not because Biden's senile, but be like, how could you make the sign of the cross in front of a Jew? And it's like, wait, I thought you're a Christian. Why would that bother you? And so I joke like, this is what you're supporting when you buy Isom, just because Eric works for the guy. And then we see this clip.
Like that response in a time of war that they didn't ask for is much different than Hamas going in and specifically targeting innocent children.
Well, again, what's going to happen is people are going to defend that action or speak, not even defense, it's more of speaking against, let's say, a reaction, because people are going to say, well, before that, they did this, and before that, that's how it always happens. This is how it is, and I'm dealing with this, and I've dealt with this.
But that's government problem.
100%.
Not innocent civilians.
I agree 100%.
Well, you said institution against institution.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. And I've dealt with this, and I think everybody here has dealt with this on more of a micro level. It's a cultural thing. And any event that someone feels, and people that like follow me know where I'm going with this, I'm not going to bore anybody with the details because I have my own experiences here. But what happens is that in the event that people have made up their mind that you are not to be liked, okay? Whether it be a person, individual person, type of person, no matter what. Anything that you do is unjustified. Anything that someone else does to you is to be justified. And like to your point, you worded it perfectly where you say, hey, you're just supposed to take it on the chin. That's the expectation it is that they have for people that they despise. Now, why they despise them, whatever. Is it because they were told?
There's hate in their heart.
Is it hatred in their heart? Yeah.
That's what people were referencing on Twitter when they said he compared his drama to what's going on with Hamas
in Palestine.
Literally compared it, yes.
For fuck's sakes. God damn it. That's fucking painful.
Yeah, that's funny.
That's just fucking bad, man. That's no good.
Actually, too, it's funny because all the Rippatards were crying at Barron and company. They're trying to call him a cuck with his wife in the chat on Twitter. And they said something about charity. And they're like, oh, actually, we're giving like 10 grand to Israel. It's on like hold for a second because of the war, but we're like rolling money out for aid to Israel. And so if they win the case and get licensing, because Isom continues, then literally you'll be funding Israel, whether you like that or not.
Yes.
This is now legitimate. You talk about like funding, Disney funds, Planned Parenthood, or the trans, or whatever. Now this is a legitimate issue with funding Isom. You're funding extra, outside factors that, like, I just want to back a book to screw Marvel, and you're really kind of doing the same shit now.
Now you can give money to screw Marvel, and some Palestinians can get booted from their homes. That seems like a.
I never expected my joke to like actually be completely legitimate speculation.
I can't imagine being on a. I can't imagine, because I know how Eric thinks because of the politics thing. I can't imagine being on a stream with like the Blaze style Zionists when you have the opinions that I know he does, because he's highly censoring his opinion there. Because I would have to highly censor my opinion there. I know the same way he would. So
yeah, honestly, with his blanket and cap, you would think he'd be on Palestine's side, Gaza. It's like,
well, I mean,
corralled
like,
into a ghetto.
From my perspective, you're like, this is like basically a war-torn little like corral that these people have been put in. So like, you kind of have to like look at this whole thing from that perspective, but that's not how it works. And like, so you can't really go on the Blaze and say that. So he has to dance around it by giving like a milquetoast response, which is not good. Doesn't look good.
Yeah.
I would say he should have pulled up and said it with his chest. I believe is how he would have said it.
That is good. That's good. Pull up. I feel like there was something else. Where I'm trying to find this one clip from the hater. It's funny as fuck. People that may have not seen this. That's like the most disappointing part of these fucking.
And Baz in the comments, cutting off water and electricity to 2 million people is the start of a genocide. Yes, I agree. I mean, that would be the proper NCAP position here, by the way. But he can't say that because he's basically shackled by the Blaze, which is why you don't sell your soul to businesses like that, is so that you can have some sort of integrity. That's why, like, you know, you do what, I dare to say it, but you could do what Tucker Carlson's doing and do it on Twitter or do your own thing.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's funny. I don't know Baz's position as he says, I could give a fuck about Rivo, just hate shady shit starters like Vito and Dick. Well, I mean, they're being funny on the internet, and the worst thing you do is feed them and keep doing things to keep them rolling with the hilarity. You know, it's like a comedian's always looking for fresh content, and you don't want to be the same thing giving them fresh stuff. You want to, like, oh yeah, I had my moment, I was a dumbass, and thank God that's over.
to the extent that people will call them shit starters, I go, so then is any podcast who covers a topic of another YouTuber or podcast negatively, are they just shit starters? That's the blanket statement. So then do you have like Some Ordinary Gamers, you know, Charlie, Moist Critical, people like that who cover drama and stuff, are they just shit starters? Like, I don't think that's how they're viewed on the internet. So the idea that that's the position is just stupid. It's not a good position to take.
Yeah. Just clarifying, Baz, and from the chat, I'm very pro-Palestine in this war, and just human rights. It's pretty fucked up, the state they've been in, and progressively just getting worse through all these decades for Zionism. Not really on either side, collectively, like as a whole, like spectrum. It's just like, for this instance, you see players on the field, and it's like, well, no wonder these people have allowed, if not condoned and instigated Hamas on their behalf. Who else do they have? This is the only way they can get a voice, is through this terror against a oppressive regime, which is ironic given the event of World War II. I won't say, just in case it's a naughty word, I don't know, YouTube rules, but it's just like obvious to me this is wrong. And then you see people like Ben Shapiro like just juicing it up like it's A-okay, given the history of those other contents. Like, wait, what? Just seems really screwed up. Yeah, no, I see the problem of Islam for Western society. I was deployed to Afghanistan. Like, I like it over there, despite, like, you know, the warfare. It's a nice country, desolate but nice. People were nice that I dealt with, the locals. But yeah, at the end of the day, I know at the end of the day, unvetted, we're all infidels to these people. At some point, there'll either be, at best, a peaceful jihad, like's happened in Europe, if not a direct jihad. This is like the end-all, be-all. It's one of two ways. They're going to try to eradicate you peacefully or through war. I don't blame them, though. It's in their holy book. They're exacting what they understand is for God. I get it. I'm not damning them for it, but it does affect me and all of us, so we have to stand against it. But at the same time, we have to be the bigger people and call out genocide for what it is, especially for the actors doing it, when they like to bludgeon you for 80 years about their genocide that they suffered. Shoe goes on both feet.
Yeah.
No, that's my well-rounded kind of outlook on it. I'm not pro-Palestine. I'm just for the Palestinians in this instance, because
so here's a perspective you won't hear a lot on it, is an Alaskan perspective on this conflict. Being I'm Alaskan and living in Alaska, so for instance, so I'm you know, over here you have the fact that before the sort of gold rush and people came over to the state, you had the native population who was here in the state. And at some point, the Russians decided that because there was seal pelts and there was pelts to be had over here, which were valuable, that they would come over and just enslave and occupy Alaska and sort of just take over what the natives had. And this led to a long history of very bad stuff between the natives and the Russians. Eventually, the United States purchases Alaska, and the Russians leave, and that's some stuff changes. But the point being that they, it's the exact same situation, right? Like the Palestinian situation, if you look at it from that perspective, is that they were here right? And then a bunch of people come, well, this is our country now, bye. It's like, well, this doesn't really work this way. And not only are you, this is our country now, bye, but this is our country now, go to this specific area, and even while you're in this area, we're going to put you under, political and cultural sort of shackles, which is just not a good way to raise up any kind of populace, because eventually this happens, right? I think that's the thing people don't get, is like, this is not something that was, if it didn't happen this year, it would have happened 2 years, 3, 4, 5 years in the future. Like, this was always going to be the result of doing this to people and having this sort of be the historical context.
Oh my God. I was just updating Twitter. Dick tweeted an hour ago, am I Hamas or am I Hamas? And Riley is Hamas. Is Vito 40 babies? I assume Eric is Israel. Oh my God. And Eric
that might be my favorite tweet he's made.
Eric also released part 2 of Making Money in Comics series today. This guy is
part 2. Part 3 covers losing money in comics.
Oh wow. Oh my God. This is hilarious because I just looked on the size of what's happening. I don't know how much of it's catered to me, but Eric July is trending. So I don't know if that's straight trending or just for my algorithm.
Does it show how many tweets? I mean, the video I put up this morning alone was every time I put something up, I've been adding Dick and Vito, and they pretty much always retweet it, so it gets a bunch of views. So
that's how I knew about you is I saw them it or whatever, and it popped up in my feed, and then I had to dig and find you. And I'm like, all right, add that to my watch list. And I went to the post office, started listening. I'm like, this guy's pretty straight. And then you're talking about I'm following all these people, and it's that's exactly like me. I started in High Council, Star Wars. Geeks and Gamers came in, and then eventually Eric July came in the fold, Neurotic. So I've been following all these people for years. And then, the Alex Jones thing pops off, and that's what gets me aware of Dick Masterson's show. Didn't realize the biggest problem was a thing. Don't know anything about Maddox and that backstory. And so I just start backtracking, watching the old biggest problems and keeping up with new shit. And then this stuff just starts building and building and building.
Yeah. No, it was it just sort of happened naturally. It was hard to ignore, that's for sure, because when all the fan bases that I'm a part of are all going at each other, you have to sort of take a look at it. And then when I have a show, I feel hey, I kind of do these live streams. I might as well just do that, and then it became a content thing. Then it's well, fuck, I'll turn it into content. So
no, Mr. Taser man, it's not just advantageous for me. It's also legitimately interesting. I don't cover what I'm not interested in. If I'm not interested, I'll be oh, people are talking about this. Here's 2 cents. That's all you're getting. I could care less.
You can go through the history of my Twitter, and most of what I post is autistic stuff about Alaska history. The reality is I am an outside person on this. I just happen to be a fan of Dick and a fan of Vito, and a fan of Eric, and so I will admit I haven't watched Eric's stuff probably in the last year and a half because of the shift in his content that I talked about before. But I still was aware of him. I was following him on Twitter. I was, reacting to stuff he was doing. And but yeah, at some point you just start to go, well, shit, you're not doing
Well, it's like Brie Larson, dude. When the Brie Larson stuff started taking off, I did one video, and it ended up getting 5,000 views, something like that. And it's looking back, God, I'm an idiot. I could have put no effort and just did the old EVS videos of pointing a camera to the computer with the pencil and reading an article and going, ha ha ha, wokeness. And who knows where I'd be if I did that. But I was all right, I did my video about my perspective on why this matters. I put effort into it, and I'm done. And then I look back and oh my God, I didn't realize I could just fucking milk this forever. Oh God, what an idiot. And so it's I'm interested in this, and It's like, well, there's new developments. You got to cover it. It's like you got to strike while the iron's hot. They're giving you shit. Take advantage.
Again,
All these channels, Eric, when Baz, I got to disagree with you. I appreciate actually this perspective, but he says, thing is, at some point you have to choose if you want to make comics or you want to engage internet blood sports. I say both. EVS has built his shit this way. Yes, his comics have been delayed in part because of blood sports, but he's maintained his fandom because they want him to cover drama. They want him to cover shenanigans from the mainstream, things being like hot ticket items. Oh my God, DC is imploding. Vertigo is gone. Tom King, Dan Didio, the layoffs, restructures. AT&T sells the shit to Discovery. All these, it's like they want them to cover it. It's interesting. People want to see people dig into it, especially being on the side. There's way too many people being fucking quiet. That's why someone like Ricada, these videos, especially these streams, will blow up because no one else has the balls to be like, oh, on this side, this guy's a fucking idiot. And that's kind of where I come from. I'm still subbed Eric July. I'll give him credit where it's due. Even with my shenanigans memeing on his dumb shit, I will defend him against like the trans weirdo trying to like fucking dog whistle. This guy's a transphobe. You're working for a transphobe, Eric July. And I'm like, no one should have the doings of their boss affect their employment, or are you trying to like go after their job because you don't like the shit they're saying. Even with this crap saying Isom sucks, I'm like, no, I don't want them to go under. I want them to make all the success in the world, keep making money on these bad comics. It's fun as fuck. I want to make 1 million bad comics, and it just never improves. And it's because it's funny for me. I want him to make the money entertaining. It's entertaining me. I want Eric to make the money entertaining me with this bad shit. You're not going to hear that from leftist weirdos that want him to tank because he's, even though they love diversity, they only want diversity.
If Eric July did not want people commenting on him, his situation, the comic book, any of this stuff, he has had every opportunity to have that not happen by not publicizing it or talking about it. But he himself, as a public figure, has made the decision to cover this himself and try to paint himself in a better light. So if people are reacting to that content and making money off of it or making content growth off of it, that's called the ecosystem of the internet, and that's how this works. And if you don't like it, I suggest you go get on Tumblr or what's left of Reddit. It's like...
Yeah. Not for censorship. I will, if there's a injustice to Eric July, if there's like some actual discovery of like, haha, Dick and Vito were guilty, I'll call Dick and Vito out. I'll still love
if it came out that they sent that email, if either Dick or Vito sent that email or informed somebody to send that email, that kind of thing, then it would start to shift my opinion on things, that it would change things. But I will point out that Eric himself not only had the opportunity in the first video he made to out his quote proof on this, but then again goes on Eric's show and flounders and gives a shitty answer to whether or not he knew who did it. And then again says in the stream that I clipped most recently, basically admitted that no, they didn't do this, like it was a troll in his reacting to the lawsuit video. And so I put that clip up too, and that was I know that got a view count on Twitter, but it's the same thing. It's like that just shows that he wasn't, he never had any evidence that Dick or Vito did that. And if he did, he would publish it right now because it's outside the lawsuit. Dick and Vito aren't really a part of the lawsuit unless that brings them in, which again he would have already made public. He wouldn't be keeping back. So it's just
that's the other thing. Fucking Eric, when the accusation through his video at them didn't really pan out from the start, then magically he's like, "Oh, I wasn't aware of this," and shares the Vito pedo jokes without any context, just the jokes. to try to kneecap him in perception, whereas, you know, and it's like that seems pretty under fucking handed after the fact that you, especially after the fact that Nick Recade's stream was like, oh, I don't have any proof, and it's like, oh, so that's just you know, some like
and that's sort of the area I
attempt
started
to nag on Vito when you have nothing actually against him besides he laughed at your comic and helped.
And that's actually around the time I started clipping stuff. That's when I started clipping stuff, was because I saw that stream. I was like, this is stupid. I was like, immediately started going back and sort of cataloging.
People love saying ankle biter, and it's like, how the fuck did any of these people build their channels? Ankle biting Ryan Johnson, ankle biting Brie Larson, an Oscar-winning actress. You know, whoever it is that has some success in the mainstream, they're still just individual people. You know, the fucking. I feel like I'm probably the only person, one of the only people, at least on our side, that actually investigated. I don't know if you remember the Joker poop baby that was infamous for. Yeah, got triggered. It's trans, this and that. It's an agenda. First of all, it's from the Joker who doesn't laugh, or something like that. The man who doesn't laugh. Some weird title, a play on the history of Joker, and it's a side story. It's like a little throwaway, like 4-page, 8-page extra in this series of comics. You got your main story, and you got this extra kind of silly stuff. And there's the context of like he's trying to like get in Zatanna's pants or something. So she puts some sort of spell on him. And then he ends up having this poop baby or this like mud baby. So he throws it up. And it's a funny fucking gag. And if you actually dig into the history of this writer, he, in his kindness, made a trans character for one of the side X-Men stories. All right. And in that, he kills that character eventually. And the Twitter mob attacked him, and he had to like apologize for killing a trans character when he's trying to give them representation, being a good leftist, you know? And you know, it's like, well, they're, you know, a good character, and the good character is potentially an exposed character, and they get killed. He gets attacked for it. And so if there's any agenda, it's him like being afraid of the mob. We should actually embrace this guy. Even if he would reject Comicsgate, we should be there shielding this man from the Twitter mob, calling it to attention. Like, look, this guy probably made this out of fear of the Twitter mob. These writers are held hostage by leftist weirdos. They can't even truly be creative on their behalf without restriction, you know, and validating concept. But no, it's just, haha, woke, SGW, and that's it. There's no sympathy for the guy. Ultimately, you're ankle biting a guy that has some kind of success getting to play with these characters. He's getting to write a solo fucking Joker story. That's kind of a big deal. Even if comics are floundering now, that's still a fucking honor to be able to write one of these legendary characters. So, like, where's the ankle biting accusation really fucking stop with the Rippatards? I don't know. It's very two-faced in my opinion.
And again, I don't even pay any mind to the ankle biting accusation, because from my point of view, that's just how the internet works. And you're not going to get away from it. When people do things publicly, expect to have people react to it. One of the things I have plans to do is take, you know, I suspect Ricade is going to be covering this footage. Ricade has pretty much said publicly he doesn't mind people cutting up stuff from his show. So I will definitely do streams where I have people on where we just react to Ricade's stream covering the Isom stuff, because I think it'll work good. But, you know, that kind of stuff I think is like, yeah, that's what's going to happen on the internet when you have this sort of drama start and when it's going on in the first
place. Look at people that just get on Twitch and then they watch other people's shit. And they get all these super chats and money off of other people's fucking content without even transforming it with any real commentary, any insight, you know. OnlyFans thoughts, getting on and just like painting their titties, which I'm not against, but it seems like a, you know, not what the platform's for. And they're gaming the system with their sexuality when it's not a platform to really do that, you know. All these factors, you know, it's like, it's not a fair place. Do what you can within reasonable limits. And
as for defending mega corporations, as it said in the chat there, I'll point out the fact that many of the comic books, and matter of fact, most of the comic books, which ultimately led to all the future comic books you're seeing today and the comic book culture that exists, came from artists who were collectively a part of giant corporations and art corporations and publishing companies. So it's like, you're not going to get a lot of the comic books you got historically without that sort of structure. Now, of course, I'm not going to defend giant corporations and BlackRock stuff and stuff like that, but you certainly aren't going to just say, well, any business that is big is evil because they're big. Like, that's just a stupid mindset.
Will suck off Daily Wire for their anti-woke chocolate, which ultimately, even if they're small fries compared to CNN or something, they're still a corporation trying to grow. You see him with Crowder, where he's like, oh, all these penalties if I don't censor myself to stay a cash cow on YouTube or whatever. I thought this platform was trying to shake things up, but you're actually going along with the system. You're actually incentivizing based on kowtowing to the system. You're no better. You're actually worse because we're supposed to be against all that. And so, regardless of what you're with Crowder, it's like I'm totally behind him with like seeing that in the negotiations, being like, "Fuck this, I'm out. Y'all aren't real." And everyone's sucking off fucking anti-woke pronoun chocolate. Guess what? They still made pronoun chocolate. If they're really anti-woke and not actually stuck playing the same level,
they're playing a game in their framework.
Yeah, they have allowed Hershey's to dictate the framework with the woke chocolate by making pronoun chocolate. Just because you've defined it, male, female, binary, you're still talking in their terms instead of like, this is anti-woke chocolate that is fair trade, no slave market, unlike Nestle and company that use child labor and underpay their workers to pick their cocoa, even though they want a virtue signal. No, they didn't know that. They just got some, fucking rinky-dink Dollar General chocolate and slapped a new label on it and then charge you like $20 a box or whatever. They're part of the problem. They are ultimately a mega corporation compared to any of us fucking small fries trying to sell like Girl Scout shit for our kids at work or something, I don't know. I think people get really sucked into the cult of personality they're attached to. I get it. You got a guy you like, you're rooting for him. It kind of blinds you. But we're on the side that should be above that and should be self-aware. And unfortunately, we become, I would say, worse NPCs than the enemy.
Yeah, definitely. That is the rub as far as it goes.
But I guess the last thing we're talking about, the Geek Getaway. He's supposed to be having moronic opinions. The infamous visitor of Isom. He's supposed to have him on tomorrow. So go over to Geek Getaway. Be sure to sub and get ready for that stream tomorrow. I'm assuming he's going to be at like 9 or something. He's going to have moronic opinions on and discuss his visit to Isom, the mecca of the Rippaverse.
The man who beat Riley to it.
That was hilarious. I remember seeing like, oh yeah, I'm just going to Isom's grave, and the guy's like, beat ya, and it was like, oh shit, there's another one. Someone else has gotten in on the fun. This is hilarious.
It had to have been somebody who just lived in that area. So they were just like, fucking, I'm on it.
I would honestly, that's just like my troll mind, just like, I'll make a meme that has context to piss you off. And it's funny. That's about it. I would never think to go. I would never think of it going to visit gravesite as a fucking like own something a real shot across the bow, but they made it that, and so it's like way funnier than I would think it was a day before that because of the reaction to it, where it's like if they would just like been like, okay, whatever. I hope you left flowers. Like if they just kept it in and didn't react, it'd have been a nothing. It'd be like, wow, you really wasted your time to see a dead guy's grave. Okay. But no, they got so butthurt and it made it fucking hilarious. Especially because like he's going to prison, he's gonna get a felony charge.
I know.
And it's like he actually
So special.
improved the grave site. He actually left valuables at the grave site. He left a turtle and a rabbit head. He enriched the property, actually. I don't think that's a crime to enrich property. Exactly like Riley did, leaving money on him. He made the warehouse $41 more valuable.
Absolutely. Completely above board.
It was fucking hilarious. What was your thought process on all that and the building after the response to it?
I mean, I saw the graveyard post pretty quick after it was put up, and I laughed my ass off. I mean, I talked about it on my one stream yesterday. It's not like it is definitely a rough thing to do, but again, it's not illegal. It's completely fine. Like, people are gonna do it. You should expect it if you make that information public, which he did. The same is true for like the reaction of it, I think, which is stupid because it's like, well, listen, the way to react to it is to not react to it. But it seems like Eric July can't do that. He has to have a reaction to it, and his reaction to it is always the worst one. So it just spirals, and so it's like, yeah, every time he's had an opportunity to just ignore this shit, he hasn't, and that is not good. And, to be clear, like, I do a lot of traveling, and I'm into history and stuff like that. One of the things I do is there's lots of grave sites I've gone to visit and stuff like that. And so the idea that it's criminal to go do that is just sort of hilarious to me. And so all the people on Twitter going on about that is stupid. So yeah, in general, I just think it was a bad reaction to it. I do think it's a harsh joke, but it's still that. It's made to be funny. It's not that serious, bro. That would be the response that I'd have to most people.
Earlier, Taser said, defending child sex jokes, you're a bitch, man. Yeah, I defend people's right to make jokes. EVS, I'm sure before today, you'd be totally fine with EVS history. He has a famous song, Daddy Can't Rape Us All. People got a kick out of. I don't know the context how that ever came up, but it was just a stupid, silly song on guitar. Daddy Can't Rape Us All. No one fucking cried. Pedo Ethan. It's only your enemy. You're so quick to jump.
Listen, the right has begun to do exactly what the SJWs did. This is a point I make before about you don't have to be an SJW to use these same tactics, and that is exactly what's happening in the fan bases of these people all across the right. It is a problem because what they're doing is they're canceling people on the basis of pedo allegations that are just figments of their imaginations. They're made up. It's like this whole shit with Vito, where the guy can't post anything on Twitter without people dogpiling him over that. And he did make stupid comments that I don't agree with. But it's like, yeah, you still have to, like, it's a political view. Like, that's what he had. The same is true for so many other people on the internet. It's been through the exact same shit. It's just stupid. And every fan base seems to be doing it now. It's really irritating. We've even seen that with, like, you see it in the leftist orgs a lot. If you go look at, like, Ethan Klein and Hassan and what's happened with their fan bases and stuff, it's like, if you go down this road, you're going to have to be absolutely perfect, because the second you make a misstep or make a joke that people don't like or say something that people don't like, your entire fan base is going to snap. And that's a bad position to be in as a content creator.
Yeah. Jokes, however crass or dark, or it's like there's some jokes where I'm like, I don't find it funny, but I'm not going to cry about it because then I just look like a bitch over jokes.
Yeah, I listen to a lot of stand-up, and a lot of, like, comedy
Dave
in general.
Chappelle.
And a lot of
everyone was so happy about Chappelle and Netflix, or the trannies trying to cancel Dave, which led to Vito and Dick essentially, having a First Amendment kind of thing on behalf of people for comedians. In defense of Dave, I didn't see any Friday Night Tights fuckers do that. Dick got assaulted and had to go to the hospital for shit because of that, doing essentially a First Amendment defense for comedy.
Right.
And sorry, I had to get a drink.
And for the people in the chat talking about, well, it's easy to not react to stuff as defending you, I think it's Baz. The thing is you've got to keep in mind, like, Eric, much like myself, is coming from a political angle. Like, both of us, whether he wants to admit it or not, behind closed doors are involved in some form of politics. Like, he just is. And especially once he took a job with the Blaze and that whole thing. So he knows how this game is played. He's not as stupid as people think. And that's what irritates me about this whole situation, is he knows how to react to this stuff because he's watched this happen in the movement he was involved in 1,000 times. And so for some reason, all of that has gone to the wayside. He just decided to do whatever he wants, and that's not a good way of doing things. I do think Ricada's right that a lot of it probably has to do with his legal support and who he has doing that stuff. And as far as defending jokes, anybody who listens to my show, which I've plugged on here, you can go check it out. But
it's in the description. Go sub to him.
There's no level of joke that I won't make or guests that I have on won't make. I'm friends with people like Top Lobster on Twitter, who's a notorious troll. This is a guy who got responded to by Elon Musk and had articles written about him being an anti-Semitic.
What was the joke? I remember hearing about it. What was the joke? I forget it.
It involved Mel Gibson. It was a buff photo of Mel Gibson that he posted, and he talked about like how buff Mel Gibson was, and Elon Musk responded to it. And then a bunch of articles flooded in the media about how the guy was like this anti-Semite and racist and shit, because Top Lobster makes jokes. That's what he does. He sells T-shirts for a living. Like that's the kind of people I'm friends with on the internet, or at least acquaintances on the internet with. And so I'm used to seeing people get dogpiled. I'm used to seeing people dogpile other people. So it's just not.
It said, I don't know what the picture is, but he said you can do adrenochrome or you can hate the Jays. Which one, Western man?
That's what it was. Yep.
And it was it was Biden next to buff Mel Gibson.
Yeah, that's what it was. My memory's always fuzzy on that kind of stuff. But yeah, I mean, to give you an idea, like Eric July is close enough to that ecosphere of Twitter. He saw all that play out. He's seen 1,000 more situations like that play out. So he knows how the internet works. He knows how the media cycle works. He knows how the political system works and the reaction to it. And he just seems to not know how to play the game. It doesn't mean that I don't want him to respond. It means that he needs to be very collected in those responses, which he's done the opposite of, right? I think the videos he's uploaded on YouTube is a perfect example of this, where, again, he basically says, "Ooh, fake Christians," and at the end of the video even sort of lightly instigates fans to sort of shit on these guys, and I think that's a really bad look. I think him leaning into Dick and Vito and sort of shitting on them with videos and streams and stuff instead of monetizing the haters, like he said, and going at it with them publicly, which when that happened the first time, I think on that Ricada stream, I think he got worried because he realized that maybe the fan base or the people on the stream weren't going to go his way. So I think there's a lot of that stuff going there. I think he needs to learn how to be more adult in the way that he makes it to reactions to things on the internet. Because right now his reactions are very childlike.
Taser Man earlier, let me see where your comment was. Says,
dude, if I wasn't to Taser Man
defending child sex jokes, well, yeah, what you should do, you should understand that in that whole sentence, when you say child sex, that is an adjective to joke. You're defining a type of joke. At the end of the day, it's joke. Is what you're going, defending jokes. Yeah, Yeah, I defend
Taser
jokes of
Man
any
people
kind.
with that attitude on comedy are the same type of people who would have attempted to cancel Patrice O'Neill, Amos and Imus, uh, any of the famous comedians, Opie and Anthony radio show, any of these people. You would have attempted to cancel them because of the jokes they made.
Dave
These are people who made
Chappelle
jokes about.
had a big
Dave Chappelle.
had a big pedo thing in his bit on Netflix. Aside from the trans stuff that took all the flack, he had this whole like 10-minute thing about Macaulay Culkin and Michael Jackson and shit. You never cried about that, did you? Show me that.
Yeah, and as for Eric July feeding us, yes, he is literally feeding people who are going to react to the mistakes
We
he's
have
making.
stomachs of iron.
And
We
I have
eat shit.
And I have said on my stream and this stream multiple times that he shouldn't be doing that. And Baz is correct. He should be being more sophisticated. And if he was being more sophisticated in his responses, then people wouldn't have anything to shit on.
Yeah, if he was just like, yeah, I was really silly, or oh, my book was but he gets very clear. It's very butthurt about this now infamous dick review of Isom. He didn't know,
which was all instigated because, and this is getting muddled in history. Much like myself, Dick had the opinion that this book was not that bad, and that he should be allowed to make his money and do his thing. He was sort of using it as a crutch to shit on Vito.
Yeah.
And
He's
then,
like, why are you mad about this book, man? Like, calm down.
Exactly. And then he was pushed. And then he was pushed to review the thing. He was asked to read it by Nina Infinity, and so he does, and finds out that it's a pile of hot garbage. That is the natural order of life and the internet and everything. It is what it is. And so when I see the reactions of people being like, well, these hateful, this mob. No, this is what happens when you grow a brand or a movement. You're going to get people that say the opposite to what you're saying or take offense to some of the things you're doing. In our case, I don't think it's an offensive thing. I think it's that this book is offensively bad. And there's opinions on whether people should be spending their money on it. I don't really have a take on the anti-woke thing. I myself am fairly anti-woke, but I think the way the marketing was done shoehorns the book in the market. And I'll say that from the perspective of somebody who's fairly well versed on economics and business studies and those topics, because that's what I do in my personal life. So I think it's a bad move from a business perspective.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm responding to Baz. No, Dick wasn't hating before. He was trolling Vito. He was trolling
anybody
Vito.
Who listens.
Rewatch Biggest Problem, which I've when I play Realms of the War, I'll like listen to reruns of Biggest Problem, and it's funny hearing older stuff where like, man, you really don't like this guy. And he's like,
anybody who has watched the show knows that Vito didn't like Eric from the get-go, and Dick was using it as a crutch and defending him. He never actually disliked Eric at all. There was no genuineness in anything he was saying. He was genuinely defending Eric for a while until he actually read that book. And then he had Sean read it and had other people read it.
Opportunistically, how dare you? Wait, let me find it. Let me find it really quick. I don't want to get this quote wrong. Let me go into it really quick. Let me find it. I want to quote it properly. 1 second. Close. Here's the era. Okay. To quote Isom, who the hell were you talking to like that? Talk about a Karen move. Yeah. Hey, you know what? I used to be have integrity on YouTube, like I said, with the Captain Marvel example. I did a video or two about what I cared about, and I'm like, all right, I'm done. And then you look at people with fucking 100K, 200K, 500K, quartering with $1 million, just fucking milking shit dry as much as they can. Fucking Snow White videos for like 2 months about Rachel Zegler and shit. Like, are you gonna go fucking see Snow White? Who the fuck cares? I don't care about the original Snow White. Jesus Christ. Talk about leeches, man.
Yeah,
Eric
again,
July, for at least the last like 2 years, he's been talking about shit he refuses to fucking watch. Thus, he is illiterate and uneducated about the opinions he's stating.
right. Yeah, and that's a big issue too, which is why I stopped. And that was why I stopped watching his stuff a little while ago, was because he went from talking about sort of politics, economics, business stuff to sort of just covering that one topic. And it's like, well, that one topic is something you also aren't really interested in or invested in because you're not watching the stuff. At least Nerdrotic and Geeks and Gamers will actually review the shit. Whereas he's just not even willing to look at the stuff. He won't go watch the shit. And it's like, well, if you're not willing to do that, how can I trust any of the reviews you're giving?
Yeah, dude, like, you know, and I get it to a point. Any of these content creators, EVS included, this whole sphere of Comicsgate, generally they just have to crap on the mainstream at some point, not even for genuine commentary, but because they're direct competitors to what they're trying to build up from the ground,
right?
Versus established. Yes. So you need to like neg on them to like get seen. But I feel like you should have some integrity, at least, of like however much you're like, this stuff sucks. It only is in your favor actually to like give fucking not softballs, but legit like, hey man, like Donny Cates, this guy clearly knows his history at Marvel. He's making some interesting plays on established characters. Like making Thor the Herald of Galactus, like that's fucking cool. I don't know if that's ever been done before, you know. Fucking Ghost Rider, Punisher, Cosmic, like that's fucking wacky. We need crazy shit like that. Fucking tying Gore the God Butcher's Necroblade to the lore of Venom and the symbiotes, like crazy stuff. This is cool. And when you don't give like you know, tip of the hat to good shit, then you just look like a naysayer and people see through that shit. You know, I just read the first 6 issues of The Predator from Marvel, and it's like, aesthetically, I made a comment. I'm like, I mean, this really sticks out to me. Like, they got a girl character, which is totally fine, but you could argue she's like the butch chick in Aliens, the Mexican girl. I can't remember her name, but you know, she's more like one of the guys. You know, she's got big knockers. You know, in this book, some of the covers, it's like they made her a fucking dude. Even though off and on, it's like, all right, she's like a tomboy fit.
Well, so no, that's what happened. Like, right? So lesbians became transgender, redheads became black, you know, white people became Arab or Asian, and so on and so on. It's like that is the stuff I'm sort of against in a way, because I think it's just stupid culturally to make content that way. And I think historically it'll be looked at as just frankly dumb. In the future.
Oh yeah, no, that's all worthwhile. But if you're not willing to actually give credence to good shit, then it makes you look just as insular as the enemy. When you're supposed to be like, we're open, you know, you like good stories. And it's like, but you're not engaging good stories. Like Barbie has real fucking value. But then everyone's so ready. Bench Pro's a retarded fucking 40-minute video about it's the wokest, worstest fucking movie ever. And it's like, this was a funny fucking movie. Like, you know, I think Shoe on Head like nailed exactly what I said out of the theater on my stream about Barbie. I'm like, dude, I saw Barbenheimer. I wanted to see Oppenheimer first and detox with the stupid comedy of Barbie. No, dude, I saw Oppenheimer second. And even though it's intense and engaging, it's very simple. It's a cancel culture movie. It's very pertinent to today's world. The story of Oppenheimer, regardless if you think he's a commie Jew or if he's a fucking World War II hero or if it's somewhere in the middle, it's a cancel culture story. That's it. Chris Nolan is somewhat a conservative guy.
Barbie was a legitimately interesting movie. I liked it. Oppenheimer, I have my issues with Oppenheimer because from a libertarian sort of ANCAP point of view, some of his historical, you know, his scientific advancements are decent and interesting and good in some way, and bad in others. But what a lot of people miss about that story, which I also think the movie kind of glazed over in a way, is the fact that in most cases, these facilities that Oppenheimer was operating out of had families of military officials at them. And what they were doing was basically just testing on those people without their knowledge and just not telling them what they were doing. So there are thousands of people who were basically tested on with radioactive agents and topicals and blood transfusion stuff and pressure chambers and all these weird things that are just horrible. That guy like kind of war criminally-ish, like, you know, like definitely not. But you know, at the same time, obviously you had those advancements in science and the whole nuclear bomb thing. So there's that, which is what they went with the movie. Whereas I would have loved to have seen more of a almost the trial of Oppenheimer, right, kind of vibe. But which some of it was, the second half kind of did, but not to the degree I would have.
Yeah,
but I also think
Barbie-
that's Nolan's sort of way of doing it. And Barbie was great. I didn't have much complaints about that movie.
Yeah, no, it was funny because like literally I went with a friend, me and this like 40-year-old guy, and there's probably like, I don't know, let's say 20 moms and like preteen girls. They're laughing here and there, but like me and him are like laughing way more than these girls are. And especially with Ken. Ken is so engaging. It's funny because I said this when I came out, I'm like, I don't know if this, because you know, you hear all this feminist stuff. It's a feminist film. It's a feminist thesis. Blah blah blah.
Right.
Seeing people like Ryan Kendall, you know, Yellow Flash dip into that fucking well to neg on it before they ever see it. And I'm like, I don't know, man. It looks like a fun, bright, pretty movie with a hot woman as the lead, and fucking Ryan Gosling's a great actor. I'll judge it. And then I was like, fuck, dude. Especially after Barbenheimer, it's like that was way more thought provoking, way more interesting. Like, did they mean to make Ken a like testament to the struggle of modern man in the 21st century, where it's like these are the memes we're told is a man, but then like that shit on its own is not fucking fulfilling. What, you know, and like they encapsulate the struggle of modern man today, especially in like the dating sphere and stuff. You know, finding your own worth, all sorts of stuff like that. And after the fact, where you see Gerwig or whatever come out and say like she did not intend for Ken to become this incel
oh god, yeah,
figure or whatever, like they're taking the wrong message from my movie. It's like that's actually hilarious because I question, I'm like, I don't know if this woman is fucking brilliant in her nuance making this feminist film, because feminism, I remember like when I was in the army, I'm from Oklahoma, from a small town. I grew up very isolated for the most part in the sense of like culture and politics. Everyone more or less has the same politics, and it's all like a red state. And I go in the army. My roommate is a liberal son of 2 college teachers from Colorado, and he's talking to his feminist girlfriend about how Twilight's the worst thing since The Sandwich. And I'm like, this is totally bizarre to me. And I'm like, why would you care about women? You're a man. Like, why would you care about their struggle if it suits your advantage? It's so weird to me. Still is. But the angle is like, well, feminism is for men. You know, there's feminism targets the problems that men suffer in a patriarchal. So I'm like, oh, that's how they get you. That's how they trick you, you know? And so I was thinking, like, is this a trick, or is it like smart enough to see the problem of feminism? Because in some ways it is, where it's like, oh, you're a fucking Nazi fascist puppet of the patriarchy. And she's like the worst person in the story, is the woman that says all this SJW stuff, the little girl, you know? So it's like, man, this is, and even though they have a trans Barbie, a literal trans person playing a Barbie in Barbie Land, they never kowtowed it. They never blew it up as like, we're representing the no, it's just, they played off as like, she's one of the girls. And the whole movie is turfy. It's binary. It's male, female. And it's like, holy shit, I would never expect a woke, quote unquote, feminist film to be so turfy and binary more than what Daily Wire would make. And then it's like, oh, that was kind of on accident, actually. All of those good points, that was on accident.
Yep. It was a good movie. I haven't watched a ton of films that are new, but that one got so much attention, I felt I kind of had to.
How am I a bitch ass for being like, hey, you're a fair sport, Baz? I don't know what your angle is, Taser. I don't get it.
The dick writing that'll be done.
Your broke ass chat, you feed, you but I will monetize your haters. Oh well, cool. Well, I appreciate it, man. Honestly, if you go look at the thing, you can see some of the images for Meth Gator. It'd be a thing on Indiegogo. I just want to have the money to actually like have most of the art made, at least like a quarter of the art made before I try to sell it. It's legitimate.
Right.
That's my other irritation. Taser is you don't get is someone that wants to be a creator that is trying to like accrue the funds through overtime at a factory. It's slow going, just building because I got other shit to pay for. Building shit. It's frustrating. I would say it's constructive envy because it's like I'm trying to make this and I put without any insight, just being a movie guy, without any insight about comics or writing or anything. There's just like this awareness of plot holes. All right. Watching movies and watching critiques and stuff, learning how to argue about films or not. Objective versus your subjective feelings. Subjectively, I think Barbie's like a fucking 9 out of 10, but like objectively, it's like I'd probably feel like a 7. It's not down with like Joker for me. It's like it's really good, provocative film, but it's messy. And I appreciate it. But it's not like it's Oscar worthy for its endeavor, but it's not like it's not Taxi Driver. It's not perfect.
Right.
But with all that, I have that perspective. I come from the film side of entertainment in my interest that got me into Comicsgate through the High Council. And I put this thought unprovoked, no one poking holes in my shit where it's like Meth Gator, all right? It's Daredevil, it's TMNT. He gets fucking meth splashed on him by tweakers and it turns him because it's like actually a special blend that has a whole sci-fi barrier. But I'm like, wait, how does that work if the tweakers aren't changing? So I have to figure out the sci-fi for the tweakers. Why? What is special about the meth? And I'm like, aha! Now I got a way bigger plot to play with in the background of the meth creation when it was just based off of a fucking news article that said meth gators, And then it's like, all right, I want a pinup girl for every cover that I do, but I need to have the pinup girl actually matter to the story. How do I do that? All right, let's make him a loner. And there's like a brothel in the town. This is how he interacts with the ladies. He's a freak alligator, man, but he likes to bone. So he contracts the fucking hookers here and there. That's where he meets the new girl, Shelby the hooker. That's how I can legitimately tie her into the plot without it being fucking ham-fisted. That, just girls like him. He's the mascot. Like, what? That's retarded, And then I read Isom, and the guy makes fucking $3.7 million on a book that is so fucking retardedly written. It's frustrating as fuck to see that kind of reward for garbage. It's like when people talk about Brie Larson and Captain Marvel, where it's like, it made $1 billion, but it's dog shit. And they snuck it in between two major films that are good. It's the same kind of argument from my perspective of like, well, this is propped up for things that aren't comic related. And giving everyone else to tout Eric is this learned, he's got all these comic videos. He knows comics. He's so smart about comics and critiquing them. And then he writes this and it's like, has he read a fucking comic? That's my frustration with Isom. It's legitimate. There's no like, I'm cashing in. I'm cashing in now on YouTube months after the fact because it's fucking here. All these channels have done it disingenuously. They don't even fucking care about the stuff they talk about. It's just a footnote. I actually care. I actually want to make something good. I host people here and there for fucking streams promoting their books. I want this to be legitimate. And so it's a full spectrum thing of like, I'm a Dick and Vito fan. Still sub to Eric, but not a fan of him right now for the last like year because he's a dipshit. Yeah. And his book sucks. It's full spectrum, Taser.
Well, I've got to do some food and stuff tonight here.
Yeah, no. I need to get up because I got to work in the morning.
All right, cool. Well, I will talk to you later. I suppose I could plug anybody who wants to go sub. I know he said I'm in the description and all that, so that's good. Yeah, cool. Well, stay in touch. I'll have you on over on my channel or something here soon.
Hell yeah. We'll have to just make sure you give me a couple days head notes because it has to be like at nighttime or my days off because I do a weird, it's like a couple days here, then I'm off a couple days, and it's like a couple more days of work, then it's like a couple days less I'm on. It's weird.
I work nights. So my schedule's fucked. So
I appreciate you, man. You good, well-rounded conversationalist. look forward to more interactions with you. Unfortunately, I don't know what the fuck's up with Rookie being quiet all day. He's usually got a lot to say, but he's probably tired from work. Oh well. Thank you for coming out. I'm gonna kick you out just so we can end this and you can get to your food and stuff. Thank you for joining.
Take it easy. Have a nice night. Peace.
And ending here. Thanks for joining everybody and watching. Appreciate anyone sticks for the replay. It's surprisingly a lot shorter than normal last few streams. Taser Man, need a super chat thing. Yeah, well, hey, I'm slowly actually ticking away on the watch time hours. So that will be a thing, Mr. Taser Man. I like this conversation though. You're all straight weirdos. I see that a lot in commentary about Dick and Vito. They're like, I used to hate you or hate Vito, and then this has really won me over to y'all. You guys are funny. I guess I'm having the same effect. We're buying Alpha Core next. Yeah, I'll back Alpha Core. Well, I want to review Isom 1 and 2, but it's like there's so fucking much to talk about in those 200 pages that I don't know how to condense it properly to review it concisely. And I feel there's so much drama with Eric and this book and the reviewing and stuff, and lack of reviewing from all of his peers, shielding him ultimately, that it feels like it has to me, it feels there's an obligation to address it. And it's like, how do I condense all that? And it's a lot, versus just freeform streaming or talking to a camera for 10 minutes. I feel like it needs to be a very well scripted, thought out.
That's where I am too. I started it, but I can't.
Yeah.
Hard to make it all the way
what we
through.
gotta do, Rookie, individually is we gotta like just fucking look to the book, flip through it, and just talk about every fucking problem, and then do the headache and listen to our own shit that's fucking 5 hours long and type it all out, our points, so it's nice and concise, and then start doing that editing process I taught you that I learned from college of having to write within a maximum page count, trying to like edit your sentences to be like as concise and sweet and to the point as possible, and then that's how you make your review. It's just we got to put fucking like a week's worth of just the writing, talking part of it into it before even actually editing it on a editor. That's the problem. Bunny's in the chat now. Great. Yeah, did you see? Yeah, Taser Man. If you don't know, I actually instigated the bunnies in the chat today. I'm very proud of that. I was on the ball. Saw Eric streaming or promoting a recorded stream, and I'm like, dude, Dick, we need the bunnies to assemble. And fuck, did it not disappoint? We got that Jew clip from Eric. That's fucking, he is Israel. I'm a terrorist. I'm an internet terrorist. Sending the rockets. Gonna get you, Eric.
Sorry I didn't comment as much. I was like in and out here and there. I was like, wait, what do you guys got ladder?
This is hilarious actually, because Vito on the
yeah.
last two streams, Vito's been like tired. He's not had enough sleep doing his streams.
I guess I'm Vito.
You're Vito today.
I'm Vito today.
We are in a eternal jihad, Taser Man. We hope our adversary we hope the hairy one will never cease in his creation, so we can have an eternal internet jihad with the state of Eric Israel July. Hamas is coming for you.
I thought your idea of changing the name from Islam to Islam would be funny.
That is hilarious. When this first popped off, Taser Man, little joke between me and Rookie. When this first popped off, and it's like, oh, you might have to like change the name. And it's like, oh, what was that guy's name? Islam. And then fucking the Hamas shit takes off in Israel, and it's just, dude, this stuff has been fucking divine, and it's comedy for me and Rookie. As you see, September 23rd, I was like, oh my god, this is what you're supporting when you buy Isom, Israel flag. And then a few weeks later, I'm Israel. Eric July. Oh, good stuff. Talk to you later, Taser Man. See you Thursday. Farewell.